260 plus on the USMLEs has nothing to do with studying more. One of our students jumped from 225 to 257 in 2 weeks without memorizing a single new medical fact. The real difference comes down to mindset. It's about knowing exactly how to spot and fix your weakest areas. Top scorers don't ask, what else can I learn? Instead, they ask, where am I weakest and how can I fix it? They focus on small details like test taking skills, question interpretation, and strategy. In this USMLE tutoring session, I'll coach a student live to show you exactly how to adopt the 260 plus mindset. By the end, you'll see the exact steps to take to increase your score without studying more. What is seen on imaging in an elderly patient with GI obstruction? Ooh. Oh, interesting.
And I have to admit, I did not have a specific diagnosis for this patient beyond, this patient has a obstruction somewhere.
So I don't think from this you would be able to tell that this was a sigmoid, like a large bowel obstruction. I don't see anything in this that tells you that you would know exactly where the obstruction was.
Right.
I think they're just trying to tell you that there is an obstruction, and they've kind of given you a clue on like where you might find it.
When I did this question initially, I remember panicking. That was the first thing that happened. I panicked because I knew that I was convinced that it was a GI obstruction of some sort. But I didn't like the fact that I didn't know more than that. So that's what led to the panic. The ambiguity led to the panic.
So what was the cognitive error that you made?
Wasn't recalling that the patient actually is sick. Like somehow in my brain, I went back on it and was like, maybe it's not so bad.
Yeah. Well, that specific phenomenon is where you were the lawyer and not the judge.
Again?
Yeah. Right. So, because I think what you did, tell me if I'm wrong. It sounds like you were like, well, this sounds a lot like an obstruction. Oh man, C sounds right, except I don't know that it would be sigmoid. Like, I don't know that it'd be sigmoid. Yeah, that can't be right. Oh, well, E, yeah, it must not be that bad. I mean, yes, she was brought into the ED, and yes, there's some other signs of severity, but like, yeah, I'm probably not that bad. So yeah, it's probably normal. In other words, you were using the intellect and the reasoning of a lawyer to argue why one thing can't be right, and then just kind of twisting it and being very credulous and being very believing of the other one, just kind of twisting, kind of reinterpreting everything so that the other one was right. So what's the solution in this case?
Jan is to do more, rule in, rule out.
Yeah.
Probably
Rule in, rule out,
correct that in the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So you do rule in and rule out. You say, okay, well, the rule in for dilated sigmoid colon is this is an obstruction of some kind. So you would see some kind of dilation somewhere. Like, so that does make sense. And like, it would make total sense because she's on opioids. Like, she's kind of the perfect candidate for this. The rule out is, I mean, I don't know from this information that I could necessarily tell that it's a large bowel obstruction, right? Like, this could be large or small. So like, I don't know, maybe. So the rule in, so again, it's not perfect, right? But at least you don't cross it out yet. And then you go to E and you're like, well, the rule in for this is like, I mean, I guess like, I think there's an obstruction. I guess I don't exactly know where it is. The rule out is if it's an obstruction or some kind of like, transit problem, it should be normal. Like, that doesn't really make sense. It's bad enough that it's causing her to come to the ED. I don't think she's making this up. And she's got kind of like reasons why she would have some kind of GI thing because she's old, she's, on opioid, she's all this stuff. So neither of those is perfect. But again, remember, you've got to go in with the expectation that it's not, you're not going to get the perfect answer choice, right? They are giving you noise. I just talked to someone, I don't know what the validity of this is, but I was just talking to someone where apparently there's like, they'll, I don't know, the rumor, I should say this is a rumor, but on one of the USMLEs, at least, the rumor is they'll give you 14 impossible questions just to see how you respond. I don't know if this is true. Again, I should say this is like a complete rumor. But I was like, Actually, because I distinctly remember one of my questions on step one where I was like, this seems impossible. Like, pretty
Uh-huh.
good at this stuff, but I've never seen anything like this
Yeah.
at all. It was like, I still don't even know what I was looking at. Like, I think it was an MRI, I think,
Mhm.
but I'm not sure.
Oh my god.
I was like, I still remember that question. It's like, well, so I mean, they do have experimental like questions, so that definitely is true. I don't know if they're sequenced, and I don't know. I don't know if this is just someone trying to. Again, point being, it's like this is the game,
Yeah.
right? You're going in and you have to make decisions off of imperfect information. And so the way to do that is to not have your threshold for evidence to be so sky high that anything that isn't perfect you rule out. Because then what happens is like, so you rule this out, and then now you're like, well, now I've got to just justify, because time is running out. I've got to justify in my mind why I'm going to choose E. So I'm just going to say, well, I don't know, because it's not that bad. So like, I'm not sure. Does that make sense? So much of so we had a student, you know the student. I think her first let me look. Her first NBME when she joined the program, because she just posted this not that long ago. Her first NBME when she joined the program was a 225. 2 weeks after that, her most recent NBME, literally in 2 weeks, was a 257. I remember I remember talking to her and she said, "Oh, that's like I think a light bulb just went on." Which I was like, "Oh, right. Nice." I was like, "Oh, that sounds good." But then like her scores like really started to jump. The light bulb moment was when I said like so much of this test is just emotion regulation. Right? So much of this is just recognizing that it is like you're not dumb because something feels confusing. It's not personal. It's not a personal affront. It's not an indictment of you. If something feels a little off, it's gonna feel off. That's how like, look at this question. It's so vague. Like, I don't like, it if you told me that it wasn't obstruction, I might believe you. Like, or it wasn't some kind of like transit problem, like I might believe like it is kind of vague, right? They didn't talk about obstipation. It's just constipation, right? Like abdominal symptoms are generally pretty vague, right? It's like bloating and abdominal pain. It's tough. This is a hard question, right? And so the key is that you have to just know that if it's hard, it's kind of hard for everyone, and that it's not personal. Okay, so walk me through. Well, so again, this is very common. The reason why people miss questions isn't because they didn't know it. Oftentimes, it's because they just didn't apply it in the right way. So walk me through what was the thought process for if you knew A, that you're choosing incontinence, and B, you knew the cause of stress incontinence, how did you still miss it? What was your reasoning for choosing
Well,
C?
this was another example of a question where I honestly think panic settled in and I wasn't able to think clearly. So for this question, I really honed in on the fact that there was, I thought I read somewhere in this question that the patient had an anterior vaginal wall like protrusion. And then somehow in my mind, I thought like, oh, maybe she has like impacted stool and maybe that's pressing on her urinary tract and causing like a backup of urine. That literally what happened. Also, I'm not seeing it now, but in the moment I recalled reading something about her also having like her last bowel movement was like 3 days ago or something like that. I must have, as you can see, Dr. P, even in my recollection of doing the question, like I was reading stuff into the question and I just lost track.
But like, let's say that it had said that, right? Like, so I like it's very, very likely that a question could have something like that on the actual test,
Right.
right? I don't know how many questions I've seen on UWorld or Step2 or shelf exams where the patient is having an MI, but they've got like some other cause for chest pain. Like, for example, they will often have GERD. They will often give that patient GERD. And I never understood why until I realized, oh, they're trying to give you an alternative explanation for why they have chest pain. So same thing with this, right? They're giving you an alternative explanation for why something, like they're giving you constipation, right? It may be true even that she has constipation, but it's not that like they're you have to read the question, right? Like what is so that's why the stand-on question is so important. What is the cause of stress incontinence? Constipation might be true, right? It's kind of like they might give her hypertension. Yeah, hypertension might be among the answer choices, right? It might be true. It just might be unrelated to the actual question that they're asking. That makes sense? So again, why it's so important to ask yourself and remember, like, what exactly are they asking me? And also, in fairness, another good plug for why it's important to do rule in before you rule out. Right? It's like, okay, urethral hypermobility. That is the cause of, well, wait a minute. That is the cause of stress incontinence. Wait, what? Constipation? I mean, that's true, but it's not the cause of stress. Oh, I see what they did. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Does that make sense?
I think
Yeah.
that's going to be the next frontier for me, Dr. P, is doing a rule in, rule out every time. And especially so when I know I'm panicky. Like that's going to be the next, level up for kids.
Well, so that's the other thing I wanted to talk about. So I want you to actually reframe the way that you view that emotion, that sensation.
Please tell me.
There was an interesting research around. Someone made the observation that excitement and worry or anxiety feel the same in like inside of our bodies, and what determines whether we view it as excitement or worry is our sort of metacognitive process.
Oh.
In other words, our interpretation of those same signs, right? For example, like I kind of trained myself as I was doing these questions to see a hard question and say, oh, heck yeah. Like, oh, this is going to be a good one. All right. Like, game on. As opposed to like, oh my God, another question that I don't know. Right. Like,
Yeah, that's me.
yeah, exactly. Right. And so instead, I want you to look at it as like a challenge among equals. Right. That it's like like in professional sports, they always say, honestly, the other side, one of the best responses when someone's like, how did they do so much? How did they score so many points or whatever? Like the other side is paid to play too, right? It's like professional athletes, like there's no team. It's extremely rare that like in professional sports that a team wins every game.
Right.
Right. For most sports where like even for football where there's only like 17 games, like it's so rare. It's like happened like once in the last, I don't know, 100 years, something like that. It's like it's insanely rare. Right. And so same thing with this, like how could we possibly have the audacity to think that there aren't going to be questions that are just extremely difficult for us? Right. And I think as someone who has struggled with insecurities and feelings of inadequacy for a large portion of my life, I also know that when you start with the assumption that you're not good enough, it's really easy to find evidence to support that assumption.
Yeah.
And so if I'm thinking, oh God, oh, this is going to go poorly. Oh God, I'm not good enough. Oh God, I'm not a good test taker. I will find, especially on a test like step 2, I will find plenty of evidence to support that assertion. Does that make sense? So when that happens, because it will happen. So A, I want you to expect that it's going to happen. B, when it happens, I want you to tell yourself, oh, heck yeah. Like, ooh, this is a good one. Right? I used to kind of imagine myself in like a boxing ring. You're like, okay, oh man, you got me good on that one, but like, I'm going to get you next time.
Huh.
So it's just, you want to reframe when you see it. Like, I want you to be excited when you see a question like that. You're like, yeah, like, because this is what you've been preparing for. Right? Like this is my opportunity to like really like show what I know.
Right. Yeah.
Does that make sense? And so you're looking at it as something where you're excited as opposed to like, because when the panic sets in, all bets are off. You can try to do rule in and rule out, and it will help, right? But I promise it'll work better if you're in a good emotional state. And you're looking at it as, again, we say you have to love the process, not the outcome. you've mentioned in the past that one of the self exams where it was like what, 8%? You scored 8% above your highest previous NBME.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Like you outperformed it, right? You said that you just imagined the patient in front of you. You didn't worry about the outcome. You didn't worry about the score. You just said, oh, okay, like this is the person in front of me. Like I'm just imagining that person being the patient.
Yeah, like I'm literally talking to them. Yeah.
And you scored so much better than you expected.
Hot.
Right? I don't think that was a one-off. Right? I don't think that that was a fluke. That's exactly what we see. I had a similar student who she like consistently was scoring 70s, even though her NBMEs were all in like the 80s by the end of it. She was very hardworking, extremely diligent.
Yeah.
Eventually, she just stopped caring about the outcome. She said, "Okay, I'm just gonna focus on reading the questions properly." And her next shelf, she honored. Right? It's really common. It's actually really, really common. On my test, I actually prayed in between blocks. I didn't pray for a good score. I prayed for the score that whatever it is that would allow me to fulfill my mission in the world.
Right, right.
And that was it. Like I didn't worry about the outcome. I just knew that the outcome would be whatever it is. And I just needed to put my best effort forward.
Okay.
Right? This is an emotion regulation problem more than it is a problem of skill or knowledge or preparation. Right? It's a different kind of preparation that you need. And so how do you break this down? Well, part of it is that you have to actually like lower the stakes, lower the perceived stakes. You have to know that no matter what. So what I do in these situations is I actually imagine, okay, like what is the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario is I fail my test. I don't match into the specialty that I want to match into. I have to, soap into something like that would be awful. However, what would I do in that scenario? Right? And actually tell myself, like, what would I do? Like, what would I do if I lost everything? What would I do because these are the fears that we all have. And so when you realize that, like, okay, so like, let's say I wanted to go into a surgical specialty, like, okay, well, maybe my backup is I soap into, I don't know, like prelim surgery somewhere. And then I just got to work my way up that way. Right? It would suck, but I know what I would do and I know that I can do it. And so it's like, okay, great. So now I know that. So now that outcome isn't quite so scary.
Kind of dissolves the edge off a little bit.
Exactly. Another thing that we can do is we can reframe the feeling as it's happening. You can say, okay, great. I am really worried about this. I'm feeling these feelings. Okay, I'm thinking it's panic. Actually, let me reframe it and say, oh no, this is excitement. I'm actually feeling really excited. Oh, I'm feeling alive. Oh, great. All right, let's do this. Right. Another thing that we can do is that we can have some positive self-talk and say, oh man. Oh, that was a really good one. Whew, you got me on that one. I'm going to get you on the next one. But just wait. I got this. Right? And the final thing is just focus on the process, right? Don't worry about the outcome. Just focus on the process. Because again, so much of this is the test, right? I mean, it's like playing many, many hands of, I don't know, blackjack or whatever, where like something where it's like taking lots of 3-pointers. You're not going to get every single one of them. But if you make some tweaks, the more tweaks that you make in the right direction, the greater the likelihood that the shots are going to go in. So at the end of the game, you're going to have a higher score. That's what a test is. There's just every question has a certain probability associated with you getting the question correct. So all you're trying to do is to figure out what can I do to sort of shift those odds systematically in my favor. So if you constantly are thinking, oh man, panicking, personifying the panic, worried about the outcome, right? Like every single time, like you are going to have a lower likelihood of getting that question correct. Doesn't mean you're guaranteed to get it wrong, but it is systematically a lower chance of getting it wrong or lower chance of getting it right. Right. On the flip side, if you do the opposite of those things, if you reframe it, if you reframe the feelings, if you talk to yourself positively, work on the anxiety part of it, like kind of diffuse the sort of catastrophizing. Actually imagine what would happen in the worst case scenario. You realize that actually, I mean, it's bad, but it's not like life ending. If you do all of those things, then like you're able to bring more of your knowledge and reasoning and preparation into play. Because the only reason that people that are really well prepared don't do well is because they're not able to actually consistently bring that preparation to bear on every question. Thoughts?
No, you're absolutely right. No, and that's also very empowering because in the moment, the source of the panic is typically for me like, oh my gosh, I don't know what they're asked. Like I don't have the knowledge. Like for some reason, I don't have the knowledge. I'm gonna get this wrong because I don't have the knowledge. And then it kind of just found.
The other thing too is like remember that like I think that it seems kind of like you take it personally if you can't know exactly what's going on in the scenario.
Oh yeah.
Like in this case, you were like, oh man, I'm just thinking like the narrative of someone in a situation like that might be, God, what's wrong with me? How can I not know what this is? God, I just studied this. Or, oh my God, like I like know GI. I just, whatever. Instead, you want to be objective and say like, honestly, I don't think I have enough information to know exactly what the diagnosis is. Maybe someone does, but like it's not clear to me at least what is going on. Like I know it's like generally a transit problem, but I don't know that this is necessary. Like I can't tell where. Because I don't think so. Right? And in the cool light of day, you can see that actually I don't think they have given us enough information to know. Right? And so again, if you go in with the mindset, if I go in with the mindset, I'm not good enough. Oh, like there's going to be problems where oh man, no matter what I do, I can't get it. That kind of like, I'm already defeated. Then I'm going to find evidence, right? Confirmation bias being what it is, like I'm going to find things that will confirm that sort of assumption. Whereas in reality, like the key is that you want to learn how to be objective. You want to learn how to say, I actually don't know enough information to get this right. So you know enough. Think about it this way. You know enough that if a question is hard, it means one of two things. Either you're looking at it wrong, right? Or it's going to be hard for everyone. And like, Lord have mercy on whatever poor schmuck is going to have to deal with this question as well as you, right? Like, it's going to be hard for everyone.
And okay, so that's a skill that another skill that I can employ is if I am feeling ambivalent about a diagnosis, it's likely it can be due to the fact that the question is designed that way. And one way to help myself is to acknowledge that. You're like, oh, this question is not being clear. And that's what I have to work with. Instead of absorbing it, internalizing it, and making myself feel bad for how the question's written. And the question's written the way it's written. I bring to you.
I mean, like, because what's the alternative? The alternative is, so like, let's kind of game this out. Let's say that the question is hard, right? If you say, oh, this question should be easy, what's wrong with me? No matter what, you're already behind. The emotional toll that that's going to take on you is going to cause you to panic, feel bad about yourself, and doubt yourself. So no matter what, you're like, even if you prepared really well, that will lead to worse outcomes. Would you agree on like, if every single question you were doubting yourself, you were like, oh man, oh, what's wrong with me?
In the red instead of
yeah, systematically, that is that is not going to lead to very positive outcomes. Let's say that it is a hard question and you are correct in assessing that. You're like, oh wow, this is just a tough question. Oh man, let's go, right? Like now you've matched your level of like, what do I need to do in order to get this question correct? And you're not going to take it personally. Doesn't mean you're guaranteed to get it right, but your chances are a lot better if you are trusting your instincts. You're being like, yeah, I don't know, this is tough. Like at least I don't see how I could possibly tell if this is like small bowel versus large bowel. And let's say you're wrong. Let's say it's an easy question. You're like, oh man, this is tough. Oh geez, like, oh this is a good one. Oh geez, and you're like locked in, and it's actually a pretty easy question because you're missing something. your chances of figuring that out are a lot higher if you're like locked in and you're not doubting yourself and you're like trying to comb through the clues and right, paying attention, reading every question carefully, every sentence carefully, context knowledge severity. Plus, from a QBank standpoint, like when you're going through and reviewing the questions like from a QBank, um, it is also a lot better because you'll get that immediate feedback afterwards. Right. I trusted myself and I was wrong. Great. You just fix what was wrong. It's right next time.
Fair.
You trust yourself and you were right. Great. You're going to trust yourself more the next time. But if you don't trust yourself and you're right, that's awful because now you're like reinforcing the idea that like you shouldn't trust yourself. Bad, right? Let's say that you don't trust yourself and you're wrong. That's, I don't know, like that's just as bad because now you're like, oh yeah, oh that's right. I shouldn't have trusted myself. Oh geez, oh, and it's just making it harder for yourself in the future. So your mental resilience is actually an underrated part of doing well on these exams because there are going to be really hard questions. I don't know if that rumor is true and there's like 14 questions that are impossible. They're just there to make you doubt yourself. I wouldn't put it past them. Let's look at this next one. Oh, I see. So there's kind of two parts to this. One is that I'm going to guess that you probably knew that you don't want. Well, I don't know. Like one part of getting this question correct is that you have to understand that obviously you're not supposed to have maternal blood mixing with fetal blood if they've got a bloodborne thing like HIV. Another thing is that you have to know the other one, and this is kind of a knowledge thing. You have to know that fetal scalp electrodes are like sharp and scratchy and can cause bleeding.
So I went into this question without knowing that. I thought it was like an EKG electrode, like, oh, maybe just stick it on. So yeah, so that I didn't have that knowledge.
That's okay. To be honest, this is maybe one of, if not the first question where I'm like, oh man, you did not know that, and that was why you got it wrong. That's okay. Like, honestly, if this is so all the stuff that we've been saying up until this point is just to reinforce the fact that most of this is emotional. Most of this is, in your case, most of this is emotional. Most of this is making sure that you can have the right approach consistently every single time. And you know what that approach is. You just got to do it. And a lot of doing it is just, it's just, again, there's no silver bullet. There's only golden BBs.
There's no silver bullet, just golden BB.
Right. A silver bullet is something where it's one thing that changes everything. There's no one thing for these tests that I've ever found that changes everything.
But what does the
golden BB, like a BB gun? So meaning like there's lots of little things that you can do. Each one of these things can make a moderate difference. But when you put all of them together, you can see dramatic changes in people's scores. Right? It's not going to be one thing that you do where you're like, oh, like for example, a golden BB was you pretending that you were talking to the patient. Right? It was where you said, oh, I'm pretending that I'm interviewing the patient. They were in front of me and I'm picturing everything going on. That's a golden BB. Another golden BB is, your mindset when you go on, like talking to yourself positively. Another is the reframing of the sensations. Like, oh, it's not panic. This is actually excitement. Right? Another golden BB is doing rule in and rule out every time so that you don't kind of give in to the lawyer impulse and you're more the judge. Another golden BB, right? There's no silver bullet. There's not one of these things isn't going to be the thing that changes everything. It's doing all of these things, learning how to be consistent with all of them, putting them all together. And again, this is probably the first question that I've seen where like, it's probably not. And that was just something that like, I don't think I knew that until I was well beyond step 2. I'll leave you with one final thing. So I think I showed you this before. I got this from, it was a Reddit post. So Shohei Ohtani is probably the greatest baseball player ever. He won the best pitcher award in the same year that he was like one of the top hitters. I think he was MVP that same year. Like incredible. No one has ever done even come close to what it is that he's accomplished. And he's like in his prime. When he was in high school, in Japan, he decided he wanted to be the number 1 pick in the Japan draft for baseball. And so the difference between what a beginner does and what an expert does is that a beginner just says they're very non-specific with their goals and how it is that they're going to accomplish it. What an expert does is they take a goal and they're very, very, very specific in being able to break it down. And so what he did was what all experts do, which is he said, okay, well, I want to be the first pick in the draft. And I am going to do I'm going to break this down into 8 different goals: body, control, sharpness, mental toughness, et cetera, et cetera. And then he took each of those goals and he made each of those goals its own goal, eight other goals. So karma was like greetings, pick up trash, keep room clean, show respect to umpires, read books, be someone people want to support, right? The idea was if you do these things, it will be virtually inevitable for me to accomplish this goal of karma. And if I do all of these goals, it will be virtually inevitable that I accomplish my major goal of being the first overall pick. I want you to be the Shohei Ohtani of the USMLEs. Your goal is to take what seems to be this very big, hairy, audacious goal of I want to get a really, really high score. And I want you to break it down into its component parts and say, oh, okay, great. So part of this is mindset. Okay, what does mindset mean? Mindset means I need to be able to reframe my sensations as I'm in the test. I need to be able to expect that it's going to be challenged. I need to do, right? And then there's the knowledge part of it, which is like, that's honestly the thing that you've been working on so much. So the blessing is that so many of these questions, like knowledge was not your limiting factor. So it's kind of like you're great on body, you're great on control, you're great on sharpness, you're great on, speed. You're not great on mental toughness, right? And so it's like you're putting all of your effort. Part of the reason why I was like, I think you should take an NBME and maybe we should look at it first before you go and like do all these other systems was because usually it's not the reason why people are missing questions is not because of the thing that they've been working on. You've been working it's like you're working so much on this stuff, pitch variance, but like it's like the mental toughness. It's the those things. Those are the give this example. And so it's you need to have all of these things are necessary and none of them is sufficient. And so if you work really hard on these things, but you don't work on this one, it's not going to matter. So you've got, so the great news is that like, you just have to, the same discipline, the same hard work, the same focus, the same resilience that you've put into all of these other things, it's fantastic. Now you just need to be that magnifying glass and take all of those rays of the sun and just focus it on this and on the consistency part. Like, you know how to do these things. You just have to do them every time. That's it, right? It's just, you have to change the focus. That's why people get stuck in the 220s, 230s, 240s is because what got you here isn't what's going to get you there. The thing that people typically ride in order to get to like the 230, 240 range is typically knowledge, frankly, right? They just learn more. Like, because in the beginning, they're like, oh my God, I don't know jack about jack. And they're like, I need to learn more. And so then they do, and it feels really great because they see their score go up. And so now they're in the 230s, 240s, maybe. But then they're like, wait, I don't understand. I'm doing all the same things I was doing before, but my score is stuck. It's like, well, yeah, because you fixed like these problems, but you haven't fixed these ones. These are the ones that you got to fix next, right? So that's where you're at, right? You've solved, yeah, you're not perfect on these, but like these are not your bottleneck anymore. The knowledge, the retention, that stuff is not your bottleneck anymore. Your bottleneck is your mindset, your resilience, your consistency. Cool? Any last thoughts, questions, concerns?
No, just that I'm grateful to be working with you and I'm happy to be a part of this community. I ready to level up. It's time to thanks for showing me the way to make it happen though, because I find that in medical school, I've found myself in many situations where I have this motivation, I have this energy and I want to make it happen, but advice is always like is hit or miss and I don't know how to direct it in a way to then make my goal happen. This course I'm working with you has definitely provided the roadmap. So it's no longer the issue of like, oh my gosh, I feel like I have all these wheels turning, but I don't really see the results. Like now you've laid it out. I'm grateful for the guidance and the coaching and there's the specific guidance. That's really what's helpful.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And yeah, I'm excited to see where you take this.
You understand the mindset of high scores, so now let's tackle the 10 hidden score killers that wreck Step 2 performance. Like why 1 in 4 students score way different than their NBME predicted, or why your testy feelings are lying to you. I break down all 10 in the next video, including NBME data they stopped publishing. Click here to see what's really killing your score.